Okay, I hope you can all see my screen. So today I'm going to talk about two things. First, I would like to talk about final project and give you some of the idea about what's going on, and also during my interaction with, right now I probably already met with 10 different groups, and they're making good progress. And I hope the rest of you, we can schedule, be talking to each other very soon. So I will give you some summary about what's going on in all the group, and also with those 10 different groups that during our conversation, I think I realized sometime how you can develop for you to achieve the best you can before the end of the quarter. And the second part I'm going to talk about is what is the requirement as an observer, or I call it observer or advisor, but not an evaluator. I'm not expecting the observer is going to, the input is going to affect your grade. Okay, so you're not an evaluator, but you're observe and you're going to advise, which I will share with you the specific guideline over there. Okay, all right. So I'm going to first talk about the final project. So far, there are topics. This is kind of a summary about all 30 groups that have been submitting their final proposal. There are a few students who are still looking for group. I'm actually helping them to connect, especially with the groups that has only 3 members. Okay, if you only have 3 members, I might suggest you to consider to take a new member, and I will try to communicate. Of course, that is something which I will respect, that you will be mutually agreed that you will be working with each other. So I will try to do this this week and try to make sure that everybody has a home. Okay, here are the topics that's actually very popular. By far, the most popular topics. A lot of groups want to do something related to the tweets and want to learn about Twitter API, which is great. I think that is a great thing to have. I just want to focus, I mean, my following slides will talk about some of the final project, how you should do it. You will realize that we need something more specific. Um, of course, tweets, there are certain type of tweets. For example, the tweets about a particular topics that we're interested in. Well, what are those topics? We need to narrow down a little bit. In fact, I think I spent a lot of time trying to work with a group that's, some of the group already talked to me about the tweets. And more importantly, which I usually ask the question is, what do you try to accomplish here? So this sentence is important. What do you try to accomplish? But by the way, this sentence can apply to every single final project. What do you want to accomplish means that it's not just collecting information, not only narrow down a particular topic about that information, but you really need to think about what do I do to generate from this information some value which is innovative and which is not available today. And I can actually do that. So that is something which I try to hammer pretty hard on a lot of groups I've been talking to. And I think this is important for you to think about that. My next slide, you will get a bit even better idea about what I'm talking about. Okay, and there's also at least 5 or 6 groups is looking at some topic related to either COVID or social distance. All right. So of course, the objective is try to keep tracking somebody's, whether they're 6 feet with each other or something resource about COVID. But again, we will ask, what do we try to accomplish, which we can accomplish right now? For example, if we have a 6 feet tracking about person A and all the surrounding environment, assuming we have the capability to do that, then what does that information that after you collect it, how you're going to use that information in some way to help to resolve the COVID? That's actually the question I want to talk about. And also, several of you talk about some sort of recommendation system, and which is great. That for example, at least two groups want to work a recommendation system such similar to Spotify, and the thing is that okay, to recommend music is very good, but the thing is we have a music recommendation system already, such as YouTube, such as Spotify. They already collecting our information and decide what is the music that's actually going to really we want to listen. So if we develop something which is similar to what Spotify is providing, that's great. That's a good learning experience. I think that will give you a basic. I usually say for the 12% that you will get 80% of that, which is around 10 points if you do the basic one. But if you want to get the full 12% out of that 12%, you need to think about something which you don't have it today. You don't have it, this feature in YouTube or Facebook or Spotify. I mean, how do you actually develop that in such that you will be able to see the future general? Of course, by the end of this quarter, you cannot get it done, but in the future, you'll get it done. Okay, and similarly to smart fridge, IoT sensor, that's another big topic. And the last topic, which is really interesting, that there is one group of people, one group of students from this is really trying to connecting people with local resources and specific in the campus environment. And I found that is a really, that's the only group I saw. And, but I want to highlight here because I found that's really interesting. I will explain to you why. Okay, so I want to basically talk about what I just said, to summarize. And this is really get down to something I call that innovation and scenario development. So don't try to think about coding, okay? Don't try to think about coding about this final project. Think about what you're going to demo at the end of the project, okay? That is the priority. You must first imagine what you're going to demo at the end. So that's what we call scenario. In that scenario, how do you actually develop a scenario that's going to help you to get 12%? Is that scenario is going to show some innovation. So what do I mean by innovation? Very simple, in my opinion. It's the number one bullet here is what do we not have today? What kind of things we don't have today based on the software, the apps, the mobile apps, whatever you have it today. What do we not have today? And that is important because you want to, based on that thinking, to develop a new capability that is going to comprehend, that we don't complement what we have today. And then you are thinking about, okay, with that new capability that we don't have today, what can we do with that? And so that is in order for you to show the usefulness about that new capability, then basically you think about, okay, that will turn into a scenario. And this scenario is going to be describing both the capability and how that capability can be used in real life, okay? If you have a new way to get a music recommendation, and then that is a new capability, and then we want to also see that with that new capability, and what will be the music I will receiving different from, say, today's Spotify or YouTube, and what kind of new things I can have. So that is what I call the innovation and also scenario development. So you first think about what's the scenario ideally in your mind that you want to, you can actually draw a picture to do a PowerPoint slide. I'm not talking about coding. I'm just talking about, the scenario is going to play out. And then you're going to do what I call a prototyping. You basically just develop some object-oriented world, which connecting only those objects. That's actually, you don't have to do anything else, but just show that new capability and show that scenario. So if I mentioned that if the scenario involves person and an object or GPS location, you just model exactly that. And you don't have to, a perfect implementation, but just have the enough implementation to show that scenario that show that new capability to be useful. Okay, so that is the innovation and scenario development I was talking about. Okay, so I'm going to pause for 5 seconds. Any question up to this point before I give more specific?
Hi, Professor. I have something like totally off topic. It's about the small program. It seems the server is down
Can we hold
again.
off that topic later? Yui, I will finish this. I will give you a chance to ask general question. Okay, I'm sorry about that, but this part is recorded. I don't want to deal with that right now. Okay, I will deal with that later.
Yeah.
All
Sorry.
right. No problem. That's okay. Any question related to what I just said about final project? Okay, so I'm going to show you a example that I mentioned that one of the group, the last group, is really talk about connecting people with local resources. For example, this people could mean students who need some help. This help could be academics, could be life support, living environment, food, or it could be something special need, for example, LGBTQ resources and things like that. I think that's a wonderful idea from this group that proposed. So I was actually working on some of the projects that's actually somewhat related to this. Let me actually tell you, I call it ML-driven help and support, which is basically I imagine an AI system at the campus environment, at like an academic campus environment, like a UC Davis. And this ML system is going to collect our data, because in order for me to provide a really good help about this student need this student need that, obviously I need to explain, I need to collect information. I need to collect the information just like what Facebook and Google are collecting. Instead of being collecting outside of campus, I'm going to collecting within the campus. And later I will tell you that this collection is going to be both transparent and ethical in that sense. So the information being collected, and then this information is going to connect both the people who needs help and the people who are willing to help. Because you think about that, it's really peer-to-peer relationship. There is a one side who actually have the need, and sometimes this person have the need, he doesn't even know that, he or she doesn't even know that. And there is the other and that they're willing to reach out their resources, either their time or their chocolate, their cooking, or their wisdoms in some sense. They want to help other people. And this might be a campus unit that's actually provide that help. So in some sense, we're actually live a world, each one of us is a participant. We actually can actually provide something, but the thing is that we need some system to connect us together. And I think this is something which, if we do it right, that the AI system is doing it right, it really can provide a really good connection. It's connecting our community within UC Davis is a lot closer than current it is. So let me give you an example. For example, this was an example I developed last year. I want to develop a system that's going to support that. So we have one person who is actually pretty, have some bad news. Maybe he or she just received a notification about one of the bad situation or bad disease that was happening. Oh, so maybe this person is depressed, and this person is not very happy, and so at this time, we think that a little bit of support from the community might be better. So essentially, in this case, of course, that the good friend or whatever, they can actually come to help if this person is willing to share willing to share the information. But on the other hand, some of us, we really don't want to share some of the confidential situation that we're dealing with, but we're still very, very, how do I say, we need some support, need some help. So the thing is that there is another, so the AI system might actually realize the situation and say, well, why don't you take a walk around, say, MU, okay? You take a walk around the MU. So essentially the system is saying that, why don't you take a walk without telling you anything about that particular path? But then there is another student, maybe in the dormitory, who actually provide help because he always prepare box of chocolate in his closet. He is willing to help people, and so he actually got a message saying that without telling them anything detailed, but this person just grab his chocolate. Maybe he's just brushing the teeth, but then the assistant say, "Hey, are you willing to help?" So this person just grab a chocolate and go out and just basically connect to that person, because the assistant is going to tell them that that's the person you're going to talk to. So it will go there and just say, hey, here's a chocolate. I want to give it to you. And can we chat? And I would like to offer some support. And if anything I can help, let me know. So kind of the AI system will build and provide the first two bullets. That's what information, what situation I'm dealing with, and why do we need this particular person or this particular resource to reach out to this person to get connected. So that provide a logical explanation about what happened. And so we can actually evaluate whether that is a good recommendation. But the thing is that if we do it right, then we really have mobilized the campus resources in bring the campus to be a more, not only just data-driven, but it's really people are willing to help, can connect to those who need it, okay? So that is an explanation part, and which is very important is how do we actually leverage this capability to connect? And by the way, you can think about today, this capability is both dangerous and also not available. So in this class, we're academic, so we're not worried about dangerous. We're worried about what's not available. So that's what I mean. What is the capability is not available today. Okay, so the thing is that, I mean, this lead to the other part is that about data collection. You probably heard there is a lot of scandal happen around this big brother. When I say big brother, I'm talking about big brother in Silicon Valley, such as Google and Facebook. They're collecting information and the information being misused somehow. For example, Cambridge Analytica, if you saw the recent movie on Social Dilemma on Netflix, and they shows the threat and the potential vulnerability of such a system that's actually going to be a problem. And the worst part is actually the second part, is that we actually don't know what information has been collected. And that is the part which I think that to do this on campus is a lot better, because on the campus, we will know precisely what information is being collected. So if you're a member, a student, faculty, a staff member, that we want to know what information about you is being collected, at least you can actually pull that out yourself, about yourself's information. And also you should be able to know how this information is being used. So that's why the explanation. So what we really want to think about, this is like a long-term dream that I always want to build for a campus like UC Davis, it's a data transparent campus. It's ethical, what I call ethical AI-driven campus, but also is important is not only helping the student and helping the life here, but also very importantly, it actually helps for us to understand the AI itself, because now we have the data that's actually become the resource for instruction. So we want to learn the technology. We need to learn also the dangers and the potential flaws that could happen with this information. Okay, so that just give you some idea that you come back to this, you say, well, what do we not have today? Okay, and then what could that happen? I mean, the chocolate supporting example is a scenario I was talking about. So that is a scenario. So, I mean, if I'm going to do a object-oriented implementation, I'm going to get a person in need, a person willing to do something, and the GPS location. And then I can, of course, I can define a class called chocolate. By the way, chocolate is my favorite food. And I have too many favorite food, just to let you know. And the thing is that we can build a system and let this in the object-oriented world to see all the event happen. That's what I call it innovation scenario development. And I just implement a prototype to demonstrate that. So that is, you should think about when you do your final project, to look at that demonstration scenario at the first, okay? All right, so I'm going to talk about a little bit. Okay, by the way, before I talk about observer, any question about final project only? Okay, I will deal with other question later. Final project, what I just said. Any question? Okay, I'm going to talk about the role of observer. So essentially, this observer is I said there was a 20% for the final project, 12% for the project itself, and 8% is for the observer. And then you're going to observe two groups. So that's actually 4% there. And for the observer, I actually gave a 1% bonus. So potentially you get 5% each group. So potentially the final project, you could get 22% if you complete it this way. But I'm going to tell you how you're going to get this basic 4%, and then you're going to get the extra 1%. So essentially the 3%, what you have is that you listen to what the group is doing, and you basically talk about this in less than 2 paragraphs. In fact, personally, I prefer just 1 paragraph. I think the shorter is better because, I mean, think about this. This is what we sometimes call elevator speech. So essentially say, okay, you join a particular company, and the CEO of the company is just go into the same elevator from 1st floor to 6th floor. And you have about less than 15 seconds to actually convey a great idea about what you want to do. And what is a great idea? What capability we don't have, and what kind of scenario that could happen with that. Can you actually communicate that with a very short amount, short amount of paragraph or small amount of a sentence? So that is a practice. It's really, what can you say about what the group is doing and what's their impact? Okay, no more than 2 paragraphs, but I think most of the project you should be able to summarize with 1 paragraph. Okay, so I'm not looking at, if I have to read your paragraph more than 5 minutes in terms of reading time, you won't get that 3%, it's too long. Okay, summary has to be precise to get the best out of what the group is doing and what's the impact. So remember, I'm not just telling you that what they're building, but also what's the impact. For example, this group is building a music recommendation system. Okay, what's special about that? That's the impact. Oh, sorry, that part is the impact, means that this system is going to help certain people and things like that. And the second part, because I said every group need to have something which is different from what we don't have. So I want you to have a 1 sentence or 2 sentences to describe what is innovative about the group. So this is a 4%. The 3% is looking at what the group is doing, and that 1% is looking at what's innovative. By the way, you could say that this group has no innovation because everything they're doing, in your opinion, has been done already. That's okay. Okay, it's not a criticism, but that's your personal opinion about that innovation. Of course, I will actually look at their information to see whether they indeed have the innovation, but you didn't identify, and then you were lost that 1% in that case. But I might agree with you that this group doesn't have any really significant innovation, and their innovation is actually pretty slim. So that's why you said, in your opinion, there is no innovation. And you might want to justify a little bit when you say there's no innovation, okay? For example, you say this is the same as what Spotify is doing, or this is the same as Twitter or whatever is doing. And that's I think that's a fair statement to say that. Okay, all right. So there is a bonus 1 point, which is the constructive suggestion, is after you look at this, and then you actually see something you can help the group to enhance their scenario. Okay, so you will make that suggestion and then put it in the report. And the thing is that you might or might not get that 1% because I have the I'm the evaluation for this part. I need to take a look. I think is whether this is a significant suggestion to enhance their scenario. And okay, by the way, I will give 1% to this particular observer for this constructive suggestion, regardless whether the group use it or not use it. Okay, so I'm actually looking at what you suggest on top of what they're doing and whether that is I think is a significant. So I would say in order for you to get 1%, it has to be something which they are largely missing about their scenario. And I feel this scenario should be enhanced with you will get 1%. But if you make some suggestion which is okay, it's not critically missing, you will still get something like 0.5% as a bonus. So basically, if you make some constructive suggestion, if the construction suggestion is actually reasonable, you will get at least 0.5%. But if your constructive suggestion is really excellent, you will get that full 1%. Okay, so that's how I going to grade your observer report. Okay, all right. So having said that, that is what I want to talk about today about the final project and the observer and or advisor's role in this final project. So I just wonder, are there any questions for final project?
I have a question.
Sure, go ahead, Nathan.
So let's say that you make your project and it's not like that innovative, it's not like groundbreaking, but someone gives you a suggestion that would make it innovative and groundbreaking, and you include it. Will it be able to get those extra 2 points?
Of course, yes. That's the idea. You
Okay.
take that suggestion. That suggestion is given to you for free. Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Right. So just Nathan, that's an excellent question. So I want you to be collaborative. So essentially, when I'm grading the observer's report, is independent about the grading for the final project, but the observer's report itself is going to be helping, is going to supporting the final project. Okay, so I hope I make that clear. So it's not a competition, but I'm not curving. So I'm not doing the grade curving. So essentially, if you can help others, please help others. It also help yourself. All right. Any other question?
Hi. Sorry if I misunderstood this from earlier, but are we observing as a team or as individuals?
Individual.
Okay.
You're observing individual. Yeah, I will assign you.
you.
For example, if you belong to the same team, 4 of you, I will not put. I mean, this is hard, by the way. I mean, when I do the scheduling, and I will not put 2 members on the same team to observe the same project. So it means that if your team have 4 members, you're going to observing 8 different projects, essentially. Okay.
All right. Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you.
Any other question?
Professor, I had a question.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
So we need to do this evaluation with like 2 teams or 1 team?
Each person will do 2 teams.
Okay.
So that's why it's a 4% for each team. So you're going to write, you're going to write 2 of the observers' report. And one of them is, for both of them, of course, a summarization, and then to identify their innovation and provide constructive suggestions.
Okay, I just had one more question about the topics you were mentioning. So yeah, well, I mean, on paper they sound very good, very innovative, especially the machine learning one. But you know, my sort of concern is like I don't think I have that type of programming knowledge to implement something like a machine learning system. So
Okay, let me actually tell you this. Okay, great question, if Tehar. Great question. I had that conversation with, I forgot whether your group or somebody else's group. You can actually implement this machine learning without knowing anything about machine learning. So essentially, what if you think about your scenarios? I was talking. I mean, this is so important. This is such a great question. I have to tell you about this. Is that one group asked me whether I should use this particular statistical method or what should use this particular machine learning tool. My response is that no, don't look at that, because the tool, they will come up better and better tool to do that. What you need to know is that what kind of scenario that you would like to develop. So for example, if I'm actually going to build I may just use a music recommendation system, right? So the music recommendation system is going to learning from you with all your knowledge, right? All your input data, and then they are going to make a recommendation. So the machine learning knowledge is going to help you to do the computation to collect all the data and to generate that final example, right? That's what people think about machine learning, but that's not important at this stage. Why? Number one is infeasible, because we're not going to get all the data. We're not going to get all the data, even if you're starting a startup company. That is not going to happen. And because you need a lot of data in order to really do the training and doing that. But what you can do is that you can imagine that there is a black box that's actually having all, if you receive those data, what should be the output? What should be the output recommendation in your scenario you desire? For example, I look at this 5 pieces of data, it will actually generate this particular recommendation. So you don't have to implement the machine learning part, but just hardwire the small number of instances into that final decision. Because later in the next phase that you can act, when you have more data, you can actually then select the tool. But you must actually know what is the output you're expecting to happen before you decide what tool you're going to use to do the machine learning. Okay, I mean, for example, let me ask the other question, is that I talk about the chocolate example, right? I mean, why I pick this particular student to deliver the chocolate to this student that's in need of depression or whatever. Why is this happen? That is the solution. When you have a lot of data, you can actually tune. But the first question you should ask is that what will happen if the student really gets selected to actually talk to this student? What will be the result? Is that the result a desirable result I would like to accomplish? And once you actually develop the scenario, then we're just worried about how information can be collected in a transparent way. And that has a whole pipeline of the story you can put it in. So let me just tell you that for this class, you don't actually need to, you use machine learning or AI as a concept, as a black box, as a hardwire for your scenario. But you don't really need to spend time unless you already have lots of data. You already have, I mean, I shouldn't even say that. I mean, no, just don't worry about, this is not AI course. This is not about how do you use an AI tool, but this is the scenario building class. How do you actually quickly to actually see the whole things happening in a demonstrative way, and then we can actually find out what to do with that. Okay. Having said that, this is actually my, I actually discuss with a big company guy for this kind of scenario from time to time. I mean, just be honest with you. Today, so-called AI technology, it sounds really, it's a hype, and it's a very fancy technology that people try to solve all the problems. But the technology itself, about machine learning, about whether you're using supervised learning or semi-supervised learning, that technology itself has been commodity. So what I mean by commodity means that there is the technology is so innovative. So I shouldn't say so mature. There is the innovation is no longer in the technology itself. So right now, if you develop any kind of machine learning method, you might improve like 2%, 5% F1 score. This is one of the score that all the classifier has to strike for. You can make some limited improvement. But the thing is that the real innovation is no longer in the machine learning itself. The real innovation is how you're going to connect to the real world. What is the real problem you're dealing with? I mean, right now, you see that Facebook, Google, Twitter, they all use AI to deliver this content. I mean, that's great. But the thing is that there got to be something which is more advanced to do other things. I mean, for example, people are doing machine learning for some medical research or some so other kind of research. And we found out is that usually if you have enough data, if the data is clean, that whatever the commodity technology can always help you to reach, regardless which tool you use, you can reach a very, very high degree of success. But the thing is that whether that success is meaningful for our society, that's something which we still cannot answer, okay? So just tell you that that's my advice to you is that we're not trying to go for you to actually implement the AI or machine learning, but you should have a concept. What is a machine learning? Machine learning is essentially collecting a lot of data. And from the data, it will derive some sort of output. And that output will use in some scenario application, and that's enough. Okay. Is that make some of you confusing or even more confused about what you're supposed to do? If Tahar, is that somehow answer your question?
Yeah, I think it does help a little bit, but I want to talk more about this, like maybe
Sure.
in our group meeting.
Sure. In the group meeting, I think one of the things I would certainly be really interested in to hear what you have to in mind about your scenario developing. Okay.
Okay. Can we talk? Can our group talk with you after class today?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I know
Thank you.
there is another group who scheduled a appointment with me. So that group will be number one. So after 5 o'clock, the group always take the first priority. If you have a few breakout room, and then after help that, I will help individual student. I mean, I think yesterday I was almost some students just one student help wait like 1.5 hours before they can get help from my at the end of the class. Yeah. Okay. All right. Any other question? Okay, I'm going to stop recording here.